Welcome to the Charlotte Buzz, where we drink beer from local breweries while telling stories about the neighborhoods they're from. I'm Chrissy, and this is Drew. Also, just a side note, this week and the next several weeks, we're going to be having slightly shorter discussions about those neighborhoods, as we're going to be previewing all of the matchups in the Buzz bracket. If you haven't turned yours in, get it in, because you can win $100 to Charlotte's best brewery, as voted by you. But we'll be previewing those a little later in the show, so stick around.
Today, we're drinking Hornets Nest from OMB. It is a Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen?
That's what they tell me. And it's 5.3%.
In the most unique growler to date, in my opinion.
Yeah, thus far.
It's like a big water bottle. I was really scared that was gonna
I got a little squirt
My
on
bad.
the cheeks.
My bad. Alright. I think this is a good bottle for pouring, though. I feel like I won't spill this immensely. Okay.
I feel like we should play Edward 40 Hands with these.
I mean, I don't exactly disagree. I let it glug too much. It's still gonna foam pretty good. I'm gonna let that sit for a second.
Now, just
Hefeweizen.
looking at it, this is one of my favorite looking beers.
Really?
I remember thinking that last time we had this.
It does. I feel like it looks like the most classic version of a beer.
Of a good beer.
Right there on the edge.
Yeah.
You can't see unless you're watching the video of this, but right there on the edge.
I guess it's got the classic wheat beer look.
That's true.
But
so it's a Hefeweizen.
Which means wheat beer.
Shocker.
Well, I don't know about the beer part.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do you have any more?
Should I Google it? Oh.
Tell us about the beer.
So if you have been listening for a while, you'll know that we talked about Hornets Nest in our All-Star bonus episode and where that came from, and this is what it is named after. And that's what it's named after.
Yes.
Where General Cornwallis.
Our classic charlatans. Somebody teach me to say this word. All right, veritable Hornets Nest of rebellion.
Yep, that's where the name comes from, not the basketball team.
Which, actually, I'm pretty sure all of OMB's beer names are all very historically grounded in the Charlotte community.
Yeah, I know this, I have on here that the beer won bronze at the Great American Beer Festival, a.k.a. GABF. They have a bronze GABF.
All right. Anything else that we should know?
No.
All right, well, then I'm going to taste this non-IPA. I've had it pointed out to me. I'm looking at you, Phil. About how often I go on and on and on about how IPAs are all that I like. So I'm going to just do it more.
On about it more. Yeah,
I'm going to do it more just for Phil there. So
that makes sense.
Duh. Okay, here we go. It's a beer. It's not bad. It's definitely not my cup of tea.
Okay.
It tastes very
weedy, like Wheaties.
I was gonna say beer-ish. Yes, definitely weedy. It tastes like, it's not like grainy. It doesn't have like a texture to it per se, but I guess I'm used to a different texture of beer that I can't really articulate what the difference is, but it feels different in my mouth.
Okay.
I'm waiting for some weird innuendos to pop out of that phrasing, but
Yeah, it's definitely got a classic American beer taste to it.
It really does. Which,
Man.
I mean, it's a classic American beer from Charlotte in a German-style beer garden. Hefeweizen. I really like languages. I spent a lot of time studying language in middle school, high school, college, and have picked up other languages pretty easily. I mean, not fully conversational, but in grad school, like my best friend was Romanian, and so she taught me enough that when we went to visit, I could at least, you know, have a very surface level conversations with people and, you know, communicate enough to sort of get around. And that's just kind of I like languages. I like to learn them, and I like to have that slight, I guess, accent in my forming of words.
Okay.
I miss it, and I don't get an opportunity to do much. So I'm going to sit here and just Hefeweizen a whole lot in this. It's not going to get old fast at all.
Yeah. It probably will.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's already far past old, but...
I mean, for me, it'll drink.
Will it?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it match your expectations taste-wise as it exceeds or matches your expectations visually?
I don't know what that means. I don't.
You said what it looks like is super appealing to you as a beer.
Yeah.
That's what you expect a beer to look like.
I mean, sure.
So that level of visual appeal, that whatever that ranking is for you, does the actual taste equal the taste on the flavor scale? Does that match the sight on the visual scale?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Just because I've never really liked wheat beers that much. I would definitely drink them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go pick up wheat beer.
Okay. Yeah. Not my favorite. It'll drink. But it would be one like I would only pretty much be able to have one, and I would either need to switch to something else or
So that means I get what's left in there?
Yeah.
Woo.
It's not bad. It's just not my jam.
Well, tell us about OMB.
All right. So we decided that since this week we are going to slowly move into previewing all of the matchups in the Buzz bracket, that what better way to start out that entire tournament with the inaugural brewery into the Charlotte area. So OMB is the first Charlotte brewery.
You know, we should probably say OldMecklenburg Brewery. I don't think we've said that yet.
Oh.
We've just said OMB.
I think you're right. I think you're totally right.
Can I use the slang
Mecklenburg Brewery, a.k.a. OMB.
Yeah.
That's what we mean.
Henceforth known as OMB.
Here for referenced as. Anyway, so Old Mecklenburg Brewery first popped into the Charlotte realm in 2009. They actually, which this was new to me, which just could be because I have no idea about anything in this town, apparently. It originally opened in what is currently Sugar Creek Brewing. That was where they had their first location, and then in 2014 they moved across the street and are now where they're at with their much larger beer garden and space.
Yeah, they needed more space.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they have like a whole separate building that's administrative.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah, I'm like, even their like little beer cart is fancier than a good bit of the nice food trucks around here. Like it's something. And so they like to adhere by the oldest beer purity laws from Germany, which there was a big German word for it, but apparently Hefeweizen is the only one that I want to keep saying, so I did not take the time to really figure out how to say that one. But ultimately, it means that there are only 4 ingredients in beer, and that is water, malt, hops, and yeast. And so that's how they make all of their beers. They stick to that very, I was going to say profoundly, and that's not the word. They stick to that as a rule. Old Meck is in what we call LoSo these days, in Lower South End. And so we have a little bit to talk about from that area.
Cool. Back to the 4 ingredients thing.
Yes.
So that mean they won't have glitter beer.
No glitter beer. No Goldschlager type shenanigans. None of that.
Okay.
I would assume that means they also don't participate in there are these like bike community bike tour things going on out in like Plaza Noda area, where a bunch of breweries were literally like going on a bike tour through the neighborhood and pulling like flowers and stuff off of trees and making beers out of like super local ingredients. So I guess that's not part of their
Unless
shtick.
they can like, I don't know. I guess that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else.
Trying to see what you could play it off as, but
I don't think you can.
guess not.
Because they specifically say no surprise ingredients or no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no corn syrup.
Nah. No.
But
no
like would
Super
approve?
Bowl. Yes. No Super Bowl commercials
Okay.
to anti-promote, which ultimately promotes, and round and around that goes.
Yeah, that whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm gonna get my story started first.
Right. Let's hear it.
So I wanted to talk about the fellas across the street.
Okay.
Not Sugar Creek, but Gweek.
Gweek? Sugar Gweek?
But Great Wagon Road Distilling.
Ooh, okay.
I'm a fan of old fashions and whiskey of the sort.
We may have to do, I don't know if it'll end up being a YouTube series or a sub-series
Of this podcast.
of the pod. I have no idea, but we've made kind of joking mention several times that we need to do the search for Charlotte's best old-fashioned, because everywhere we go, you try one.
Yeah.
And we're going to need to start actually documenting that
I think we should.
and like ranking and stuff.
Great Wagon Road, actually, they do classes.
Oh.
I don't know what type, but I need to look into it.
But you have my attention.
I mean, and maybe they'll teach me what whiskey makes a great old fashioned. Because I usually try to get the rye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's old fashioned. But maybe they'll tell me different.
Maybe they'll teach you, and then maybe they can send a brewer our way to teach us beer tasting too while we're at it.
Anyways, so Great Wagon Road Distilling Company. It's the oldest distillery in Charlotte.
Oh, so this is a good area for
Firsts.
firsts in the alcohol world.
That's what convinced me to do
Okay.
their story. So we got the oldest brewery and the oldest distillery right next to each other.
Excellent.
So founded by an Irish native, Oliver Ollie Mulligan.
Hey,
So his friends call him Ollie.
I was like, that is the most Irish name you can have.
It's not that his middle name's Ollie. It was in
the quotes.
quotes. So Ollie's whiskey making tradition came from his grandfather. Mm-hmm. His name was Patrick Quinn.
Okay.
Also from Ireland.
Mm-hmm. Shocker.
And his grandfather, Patrick, used to distill with a group of friends.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't quite legal when he was brewing or
So he was
distilling
like
with his friends.
Moonshining.
Yeah, basically. Some good old Irish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
They were creating Poten, which is unaged white whiskey.
Not like poutine, like gravy fries.
No, like Poten.
Okay.
Poten. Teen.
Oh, okay.
So they would take the steel apart and each grab, they would keep one part of it at their houses and meet somewhere and bring all the parts together and distill that way.
Okay.
Since it was illegal. Patrick's part was the condenser, aka the worm.
Ooh. All right.
And it's a circular coil. And it was quite large, apparently, because he used to step inside of it.
Wow.
Pull it up over his torso.
I mean, was he a leprechaun?
I didn't have that in my notes, but he could have been.
Dare I say that on YouTube we may throw up a photo of a certain local leprechaun?
I don't think so.
Oh, that would be so worth it.
Pretty sure there aren't any. Leprechauns aren't real, guys.
I'm pretty sure I have some editing power in this.
I can delete it. I'll blur it out.
Okay.
Anyways, so yeah, he'd step into it, pull it up over his torso, and then put his jacket on over that. And then that's how he would walk to his friend's house where they were going to distill at.
I mean, commitment.
I mean, I kind of thought of the Little Rascals, where they pretended to be the older man and were on each other's shoulders. I'd imagine he had a jacket like that,
A big old long trench coat type deal.
Yeah. Well, even though he was very clever in how he moved these pieces, he was arrested on
No way.
December 23rd, 1953.
Okay.
So, has to go to the judge or the justice, as it's called in Ireland. And while on trial, the justice opened one of the bottles, gave it a good sniff, and said, the very breath of it is enough to intoxicate anyone.
Ooh.
So old Grandpa Patrick was making...
Pappy Patty?
Yeah. Was making some strong stuff.
All right.
So, right on to that guy. Actually, if you get a bottle of Drumlish at the Great Wagon Road Distillery, you will see Patrick's arrest statement, or it says label, on the bottle.
That's cool.
So Ollie wanted to follow in his grandfather's footsteps, but of course legally. He had a...
Where's the fun in legal?
Yeah, I know, but
don't want to be walking around in weird stilt pants all the time.
What?
That's what I imagine him wearing, stilts. Because you had said the little...
Because he's a leprechaun?
Olde. You had said about the little rascals being on each other's shoulders and him stepping into this thing and putting his coat over it. So together, my head mushed that into being stilts.
Okay.
Whatever
Whatever that means.
Carry on.
So he wanted to follow his grandfather's footsteps, but of course legally. So he had a talk with a few of his mates over a pint, and they decided to give it a go. So on December 23rd, 2015, he finally got his North Carolina liquor license.
Ew.
So December 23rd was when his grandfather was arrested. December 23rd is when he gets his liquor license.
That's fancy.
So
I like those things.
So now, they actually celebrate on December 23rd and call it Ollie's Day.
Oh, I like it.
After old...
Pappy Ollie? No, Ollie is the young one. Ollie's the distillery man.
Yeah.
My bad. I like it.
Yeah. That doesn't really make any sense, though, does it?
No.
I feel like they'd call it
Pappy steak.
Okay. We'll fact check that. Their copper steel, it was handmade in Germany using age-old coppersmith techniques in harmony with modern touchscreen control systems.
Ooh.
The water that they use to distill their spirits is actually from the Blue Ridge Mountains in Yancey County, North Carolina.
Ooh.
And he gets it from a spring catchment system. Don't know what that is. On his own mountain property. And it says that he'll even go up there twice a month to get water himself.
I mean, I'm impressed.
So, I mean...
That's commitment.
Creek to bottle. None of this farm to table mess. Creek to bottle.
I mean, I'm impressed.
I know.
I want to check this out.
There's a picture of him with a big, however many gallon container on the back of his truck. And he's just chilling with it. Like, I just caught some water.
I just caught some water.
That's what it says, spring catchment system.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So he caught him some mountain water.
All right.
I mean, that's what Coors says they do. Get that mountain water.
I suspect that I believe Ollie a little bit more than I do Coors.
I mean, we have a picture of it.
Boom.
We'll put it up.
Fact.
Right here.
Right where the leprechaun was.
No. The leprechaun will be... You can't see because...
It's a good thing that we're
But I'm
popping
waving
a photo
under
up.
the table. The leprechaun picture will be under the table.
Uh-huh.
So, not only were the first distillery in North Carolina, but they were also the first distillery in North Carolina. No, they were the first distillery
In Charlotte.
in Charlotte. They were the first distillery in North Carolina to have their own bar / speakeasy.
Ooh.
The Broken Spoke.
I like it.
Seems like a real cool, vibey place. It's actually, to go with the whole speakeasy, it's a members only. It costs a whopping $1 to be a member.
Oh, boy.
I mean, get your pennies out. Get your pennies out of your ashtray and go join. I mean, that's what I'm going to do when we sign off of this.
Heck yeah. We need to go check that sucker out.
Yeah. So you can sign up online.
Okay.
And then pay the $1 when you get there.
Oh, okay.
That's how it works. But that way your name's in the system when you get there and don't have to sign up at the bar. But
I'm in.
Okay.
Let's go.
Take my money.
Take my pennies.
And we'll try out their old fashioned.
I'm in.
I think they actually have like a fancy version.
Probably.
Which I'm okay with. But that is Charlotte's first distillery.
All right.
Thank you, Ollie.
And Pappy Patty.
Yeah, that fella.
All right. So I want to preface my story with
She's been hiding it from me. Won't even let me catch a glimpse.
I mean, that's the whole point, is it's supposed to be... Can I also say that while you were talking, because of course I'm super ADD, is I noticed that I match our beer perfectly. My shirt that's white and yellowy color, just it matches like spot on with
good
this
choice. Beer. Good wardrobe choice.
Who knew?
I match our table.
You sure do.
And our curtain.
We're trying to be camouflaged and just blend in.
And our mics.
We just blend in. You can't see us. Yeah. We're just fictitious today. Anyway, we were looking into a lot of the history of the LoSo area, and it's not easy to find, mostly because LoSo is such a newly named area that, if you're just even searching history of LoSo, I mean, LoSo as a name has only been around for like 2 years. Only like 2-3 years maybe. realistically in use. So it's not very old name, and it's not exactly well loved. And so finding history on it was difficult to start with. And once I decided what I wanted my story to be, I knew you would be a little ticked once you actually heard it.
Okay.
Which is why I've been trying to hide it from you. So my story about LoSo is about the name of LoSo.
Okay.
And basically the popular and unpopular opinions surrounding it. So it's kind of a...
that I brought your attention to a couple of weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
When?
About how people didn't like it.
I don't remember that.
We were at the Checkers game. And I showed you the Reddit thing.
There was a Reddit thing?
Okay, continue.
There was a lot of beer at the Checkers game.
Continue.
So it was kind of there's no rule that says it has to be historical.
Yeah.
Whatever, but I felt like I was kind of breaking the system here a little bit. Nonetheless, I just wanted to kind of talk about the current and evolving soon-to-be history that is the LoSo community.
Okay.
So, in doing the research, basically just kept coming up after article about the name of LoSo itself and how people loved it, hated it, all the around. And so I just kind of wanted to discuss some of that conversation.
Okay.
So, one of the earliest mentions I saw of it came from January of 2016, so 3 years ago, in which the author regarded it and said they were talking about how it was becoming this upcoming kind of brewery scene, even though it housed the first brewery and the first distillery and all that stuff. We've now had Good Road Cider Works coming in, Sugar Creek Brewing coming in, Queen Park Social, which isn't a brewery, but, another drinking establishment. And we've now got Brewers at 4001 Yancey in there, and just so many things coming into that area. So in 2016, this author made note of all those things and then said, and it's got its own hip name too, LoSo, short for Lower South End. And just the way that I read that in context couldn't have made it sound any more like some old guy saying, well, that's just one groovy little thing you've got going on there. And I was like, wow, I can see how people are a little frustrated by this name. And again, outsider coming into this area where, when Noda kind of was named and all the other neighborhoods sort of got their names, none of that was, it had no effect on me. It was not anything I was part of. It's not anything I got to see grow and develop and go through public opinion.
I think Uptown had a little bit of fight against it. That took some...
About Noda?
No, Uptown.
Oh, the Uptown being called Uptown was a fight.
Like, because it was downtown, and they switched it to Uptown. There was a lot of uproar about that.
Okay.
So, there is precedent.
Okay. See? And that's, I would never know that. And so, I just wanted to kind of break down some of the arguments for, the arguments against, some of the other potential names that popped up in the whole process.
Okay.
Just give it a quick little overview here.
Why did you think I was going to get mad about this one?
Just because I was like, it seemed like a cop-out. Where it was, oh, tell me a story about this neighborhood. And it was, oh, well, I've got mine. And it's just breaking, like, the issue we had was it was so new. And so then that was almost my thing is like, yep, you're right. It is new. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Like, that's kind of how it felt. I figured you'd be like,
now that I think about it, I am mad.
You can have my beer.
Yeah. No, you got to finish it. There's one glass. It's part of the...
Are you going to finish the rest of the growler?
Charlotte Buzz.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sure. I guess. If I gotta.
Not a whole lot left in it. You got this much?
I can handle it.
I believe you can, sir.
Okay.
I believe you could handle that whole bottle. 40 cans at.
Oh, real quick, you just holding that. OMB had this ready to go.
Oh, yeah,
It
you're
was
right.
like in a cooler, and we were like, can we get a growler of Hornets Nest? And they're like,
Bloop.
There it is.
Yeah, they have them ready. They have them dated.
Cool.
I mean, they are a well-oiled machine there, as if...
Yeah.
I mean, I expect them to be, I guess. They're the longest-running brewery in town, but... I mean, next level.
Yeah.
They are next level. That is unquestionable. Okay, so... I want to pull this up from my computer now that I've stalled enough as it is.
You got articles?
Yes, but I just want to pull up one or two quick things and see how many times I can hit my mic.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So I have one article that actually mentioned the neighborhood being called York Road in the past, which I read several different articles, and this was the only one that mentioned it, and so I'm not totally positive on all of this.
I've heard that one.
But what it says is, while the neighborhood is officially called York Road after the former name of this part of South Tryon Street, it's claimed by residents of Brookhill, Colonial Village, Southside Park, and Sedgefield. And then lately the names Queen Park and LoSo have been thrown around to try to label the area.
Was Sedgefield the name of the community where the baseball park used to be?
I have no idea.
Remember I said I've never heard of that, but
Maybe.
all the people there let me... I could be... sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm not sure, but it sounds like, you know how streets change name, like 7th Street becomes Monroe, becomes East John.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of thing. It sounds to me, by reading that South Tryon at one point was York Road, or at least like in that location was York Road.
Okay.
And so maybe that sort of led the naming in that area. For a time, it didn't even give any real reference to time for that. So I don't really know. But that was the only article that I found with that information, which I just found interesting that everywhere else was like, yeah, it's been this unnamed just part of town for so long. And it was, the one guy said, like, this is where my dad used to go pay his, like, gas bill. Like, it's just a really rundown, nowheresville place. And then Old Meck kind of put it on the map. But even then, it was still, like, driving through and trying to find Old Meck was still needle in a haystack kind of thing. And it just slowly developed. But nonetheless, we've had what appears to be two main contenders for a name for the majority of this process, which was LoSo, meaning Lower South End, and Queen Park.
Okay.
So LoSo, obviously Lower South End, similar to the NODA issue with North Davidson, smushing it together, that whole shenanigans. The arguments against LoSo are that it's tacky and not unique. People cited a lot of the Soho in New York and Soma and that kind of stuff.
NODA.
Yes. They cited an episode of South Park, which I have to watch this episode. But apparently they basically, of course, find a way to parody everything. And so they went off on this whole thing where there was a part of town that they named Soda Sopa, and it was south of downtown South Park.
Okay.
And so it just, it became this ridiculous, like, long drawn out thing of its own and just totally ridiculous. One article actually had like a link to the video in there to check it out. Some other arguments against related to the Queen Park name, saying that the Queen Park name was more historical, more iconic, and had more of a Charlotte feel. And then arguments for the LoSo name was that Noda, went through a similar process, but now that's like a staple and a very Charlotte thing. Like that's super associated with Charlotte now.
Yeah.
And so like just give it time and let it be. Other people said that it's very relevant to the location, obviously. So it just makes sense, and it makes it easy, especially with Charlotte being such a city of transplants, that it just makes sense because you're going to have a lot of new people coming in. So why not kind of tie into that?
Yeah, with that, I mean, I didn't know where South End stopped and LoSo started until we looked this up, though.
And it's a really small area, too.
Kind of a mishmash. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that helped. People said it was catchy. It was just kind of fresh. It gave the area kind of a new chapter feel, where Queen Park was more historically grounded. This gave it a more progressive, new feeling.
Okay.
So that was kind of the back and forth with that. So Queen Park was that main opposition of a name to LoSo, which I guess some people in the area had just taken to calling that area Queen Park. And that name originated from a movie theater that used to be in the area called Queen Park. Mm-hmm. And so again, a lot of the arguments for that were, historical, iconic, had that Charlotte feel, had that context of the neighborhood already built into it. The arguments against, where it was rooted in history, it was less progressive, less self-aware of the area itself being this sort of progressive, bringing in these first breweries, first distilleries, all these new things building, but rather it was trying to ground itself in basically a failed movie theater that existed from 1982 to 1998, no longer exists, and now it's almost 20 years later, or I mean it is 20 years later, but at the time of the initial debate, almost 20 years later, and still trying to name the town in favor of something that's been gone for that long already. Which, I mean, we live in Charlotte, which is, very historically rooted. So, I mean, I could see it either way, but I can also see, it's a neighborhood. Why would you name it after a movie theater that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah.
So, just a lot of back and forth with it.
Did they talk about Queen Park, Scotland?
I did not see anything about Queen Park, Scotland.
Well, it's an area in Scotland, I do believe. And their oldest, most well-known football club, soccer, is Queen Park. Like Queen Park Rangers.
Well, all right.
I think it's Queen Park Rangers.
No, yeah, I did not come across anything about that. But so those were the main two contenders, basically, was this LoSo idea, which is the more progressive, the Queen Park, which is the more historical. Ultimately, we got to a place where it sounds like pretty much nobody liked either of them, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of, basically Twitter feeds that were people's commentary on either side of it, and it got rough. But it sort of became a lesser of two evils. It almost felt like an election where it was like, well, I don't really like either of these guys, but this one sucks less.
Yeah.
And so that sort of became the mentality of the individuals there. And then the businesses actually ended up kind of created this snowball where they weren't necessarily like, yes, I love this name, I'm all for it. But, just kind of naturally happened where LoSo took on a little bit more steam and the businesses started just rolling with it. And so they started putting on their websites.
So that's really what did it.
Yeah, that kind of put the nail in the head there. That it was, their websites would say, hey, we're in the LoSo area. Mm-hmm. And it started just as that geographical thing. They were saying, we exist in Lower South End. And so it sort of just slowly developed that way. And then from there, they started doing block parties and different things to try to build that area more.
Yeah.
The LoSo block party, because they needed to give it a name. And, you know, one thing led to another. And even now, people are still very adamantly for and against the name. But it just kind of is what it is. And, you know, anything can change, but it doesn't really look like that's going to happen at this point. But I did want to point out a couple of other names that people had mentioned somewhere in this debate.
Mm-hmm.
We had more traditional ones like OldMecklenburg, based on the fact that the brewery sort of created the area, kind of giving.
No thanks.
Yeah. We had LoSo, which was the one argument against the LoSo name was, you know, you're mushing together lower south end, but really you're only mushing together lower south.
Yeah.
And you're ignoring the end. And so they wanted to put that E in there. And so it's spelled LOSE. And so instead of it saying lose, it was LoSo.
This is one thing I saw on that Reddit that I saw a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And they said that everybody from there would be called losers.
Yeah. LoSeers.
Yeah. But
yes.
it'd be spelled losers.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I vote for that one.
So there was that one. I saw one argument for it to be called downtown. Now that we've got uptown, we should have downtown. I was like, that won't make it confusing at all, because even for a transplant, the uptown downtown transition is something most people are aware of.
Yeah.
Another one that I thought was actually pretty interesting is Craft Row. I kind of liked that. It's not just craft beer, but, you know, craft distillerying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to
kind of has like a murderer's row
kind of
vibe.
Yeah, I was like, it's a little weird. I kind of like it. I kind of don't. I don't know.
It seems a little dark.
One was Yancey, which is a road there, which now is more tainted because you've got brewers at 4001 Yancey. But at the time, I could see where they would go with that. And the one I had to save for last because I thought you'd appreciate it was Skawula.
Okay. Tell me
There-
about that.
There's 3 different neighborhoods, which I did not write down, unfortunately, but 3 different neighborhoods. And it's the same concept as LoSo, where you're mushing them together.
It's just the neighborhood.
That is 3 of the neighborhoods. And they mushed it, and it was Skawula.
Okay.
I thought you could appreciate that.
I like that.
But yeah, like I said, overall, what I've perceived at this point is basically, individually speaking, even people who live there, don't live there, everyone involved, nobody really likes any of it.
Yeah.
But it needs to be called something, and so it became a lesser of 2 evils. The incoming businesses slowly started accepting the LoSo name, and that just kind of developed and snowballed, and
So
everybody just landed
why
with
is
it.
it not just considered South End, like part of South End?
I don't know, because there's a lot of Dilworth too to me that I'm like, where's the line?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it's not just part of South End. I mean, it's only like 2 blocks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
But and maybe this is just my ignorance of, again, being new to the area, but there's so many Charlotte neighborhoods that I don't know where the regional like identities stem from, or if it's built later on. Like, did this area already have a sort of regional identity and it only came into like popular opinion and public view as Old Meck and all of these other places started coming in? And so then it was like, oh, well, now we've got actual like the public coming in for recreational reasons, so it needs a name versus just existing. Or if it's something like, if it's just something, you know, Elizabeth is, you know, a neighborhood, and I don't really know why it's called Elizabeth, but I just imagine that's
the street.
right. Like, there's a reason why we call them each that. So cool. Here's your little neighborhood. Carry on. And there's so many that are so close that we hop from Elizabeth to Midtown to Uptown to South End to LoSo to Dilworth to all of these places. And personally, I don't know if it's a hard and fast line between each or if it's like some gray area or who makes the lines. I don't know.
I don't know.
But that's pretty much where it is.
Can I add a name that I saw during my research?
Yes.
Going along with Craft Row, I saw the Brewers District. But I don't really think that works either. But yeah. Because there's also distillers. Mm-hmm. And that's not the only place where brewers are.
Yeah.
So, okay. LoSo it is, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, is it came down to like, yeah, okay, I can see the pros and cons to all of them, but ultimately it's lesser of all evils, and really location just won out because instead of trying to be clever and crafty, I hate myself, I know. But instead of trying to do all that, location just made the most sense, I guess, that it just fell to that.
Cool.
So now we're going to make a hard left turn and officially move into the preview of the first 16 breweries in the Buzz Bracket. Yeah, laugh at me. Whatever.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll throw up like some graphics while you're saying that. We'll see what I come up with.
Yeah, do something fancy with that. Make sure you get that Leprechaun in there, okay?
Okay. So we're going to start on the left side. We didn't really have a name.
Is that like
for
a throwback
side.
for LoSo? Left side?
No, I didn't.
LoSo? Lacey? Is it Lacey?
It's just the left
Lacey.
side.
It's Lacey.
Okay. Well,
The left side?
so
Lacey?
Lacey?
Lacey. Like Khaleesi. Ooh, a couple weeks, guys. Okay.
Catch that Game of Thrones trailer that just dropped.
I'm so excited. Okay.
So
we're going to do the left side this week. We'll do the right side next week.
Yes.
When your brackets are due. So get on them.
Yeah, 1 week left to win that $100 dollar bills, y'all.
Please tell us about the teams, the breweries.
The first seed, number 1 seed on the left side, is Noda, who we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you when they were founded. I'm going to give you an untapped score, which is just the average score of all their beers averaged together. Mm-hmm. And their top 3 players. Top 3 beers. So Noda, the number 1 seed, was founded in 2011. Mm-hmm. Their untapped score is a solid 3.84.
Okay, so I take it this is out of 5.
Yes, out of 5.
3.84.
3.84.
That was this is a solid score.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
so not a whole lot are like super above that.
Yeah, I would say 4 is a great score.
Okay.
3.9s seem to be good. 3.8s solid. 3.7 less than solid. 3.6 okay.
Well, okay.
I would say anything under 3.5. Yeah, like I don't think I saw any of those though.
They might get a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, lottery pick, yeah.
All right. So the seeding was done via social media followers.
Yes.
So even with a solid but not great untapped score, this is they're seated first on the left side via social media.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, I will say you will see a correlation between how many beers have been rated on Untapped versus a high score. So Newer breweries tend to have a higher score because they're
Yes. Less beers have been rated.
Smaller sample size.
Yes. Okay.
So a low score won't, I mean, if
A low score doesn't mean they're bad. It just means there's more people available to be trolls if need be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So their top 3 players, hop, drop, and roll.
You keep telling us about Noodle while I try to refill your glass a little bit.
Yeah, let me get that.
Yeah.
So top 3 players, hop, drop, and roll.
Classic.
It's in everybody's home.
Hey, that won an award. We talked about that.
Yeah. It's an American IPA. Jam Session. And American Pale Ale. And the only one I haven't tasted from this top 3 list, Coco Loco.
I'm not trying that
It's
one
a
either.
porter. So
I'm not surprised
not
that we have
really.
not.
Yeah. Not really our jam.
Unlike a jam session. Yeah. That's a Noodle beer.
Yep. It's number 2. And I got the top 3 players from they do average score.
On Untappd.
The top average scores of their beers on Untappd, yeah.
Okay.
So they're going up against 3 Spirits.
Okay.
Founded in 2015 with an average or an Untappd score of 3.58.
That's the sound for the 3.5s, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I think that's one of the lower scores.
But doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see too that IPAs score really well here. And
as they should.
Yeah. They had a lot of not IPAs.
Okay. I understand.
So that could be part of it. Bias.
Sure.
Their top 3 players was an IPA, number 1. Ain't No Hop Steppin'. Southern Bliss, it's a blonde ale.
I could see that.
And Red Mambe, I think that's how you say it. Maembe. Mambe?
I mean, sounds good to me.
Okay. It's a pale ale.
Okay. All right, so
Noda
to 3 spirits. I mean,
now, first you got to think, if you've done brackets before, until last year, a 16 had never beat a 1. But in our bracket, a 1 has also never beat a 16. So,
there you go.
I mean, we can't talk about yeah.
There's no precedent here.
50-50.
There's no precedent here.
A 1 has not beat a 16 in our bracket.
That's true.
So, I mean, you could think about that and go the 16 route. 3 spirits.
In my opinion, and this is based solely on, I assume I have tasted 3 spirits based on the amount of festivals we've been to.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like there's no way I haven't tasted it. But if you've ever been to one of the beer festivals, you know how quickly that all blurs together
blurred lines.
Fast.
Robin Thicke.
So fast. So, Noda, I've been to their brewery, obviously. Spent some time there, hung out there.
IPA bar.
Yes. We know. So, I'm much more familiar with them. And so, defaulting to that, I'd have to call it for Noda. Both in my personal preference. As of yet, I am happy for 3 spirits to change my mind. But as of yet, that's my personal preference.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get around to trying their
Oh, yeah.
stuff too,
Everybody on this is absolutely going to end up with their own episode at some point or another. But
yeah, and one way to win is to get people to vote. Incentivize.
Yep. Get them out there. So I'd be happy for them to change my mind, but I'd have to personally give it to Noda, and just general expectation of the community. I expect Noda to take that first match.
Hop, drop, and roll is probably one of the 5-star recruits.
Oh yeah,
we got in this bracket. I think there's quite a cult following behind that beer. So,
okay.
I mean, to beat Noda, you have to beat Hop, Drop, and Roll.
Yeah, that's very true. That was their first award-winning beer.
Yeah. So we'll see.
All right.
So now we're at the 8 seed versus 9 seed. Right below that one, it is Salud
Cerveza?
Cerveceria.
I don't know. Why don't we know any words?
I took Spanish, but
I did not.
I don't.
Je parle français?
No, it's not French.
No.
It's Spanish, pretty sure.
No hablo español.
I can't say it. Versus Cabarrus Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
Been there. We've been to both of these. But Salud was founded.
Where's Cabarrus?
Cabarrus is in Concord. Remember, we went over there, and they had those long picnic tables, and that band was playing right behind us.
Oh,
that's Cabarrus.
Yes. Okay. Yes, we have been to both.
I had a brat there.
Yeah.
With their little food truck
mac
vendor.
And cheese.
Yeah.
A pretzel.
I think I was able to get a side, and I got mac and cheese and let you have it.
It was delicious.
So yeah.
Okay.
So that's Cabarrus.
Okay.
So Salud was founded in 2017. They actually had Salud Beer Shop prior to that. So they've been open longer. The space above them opened up.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think they were brewing beers before that. Like,
I mean, most of them.
Before that space opened up. But,
most of them, to some degree, I believe, were.
Well, they opened up their beer, the cerveceria.
Okay.
Above that once that space opened up. But that was founded in 2017. Their untapped score is 3.98.
Ooh. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
2017 versus 2011. We're getting in that age thing, possibly. Their top 3 players is, we're going to get into more words that I don't know how to say.
Okay.
So that's always fun. Fudder Salad.
Okay.
Fudder is their little food vendor inside Salud Beer Shop.
Okay.
They make some kind of waffles.
Okay.
And I believe they used that to make this beer.
Sounds
somehow.
Good. People make beer out of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
Who was it? Legion that just made Why So cereal?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff goes into beer. Yeah. It's not an OMB where it's just water, malt, hops, and yeast.
Yeah. It's right there beside you, too.
I know. That's why I looked there, and then I was like, I couldn't see it quick enough.
So it is a kvass.
Okay.
Kass. KVASS.
I'm going to just let you sit here and suffer because I don't know them either, but.
We have, the sad thing is we have a beer podcast and we don't even know how to say beer type.
We don't know how to say anything. We're terrible, guys. Somebody teach us something.
Thing is, we're learning. Maybe
we are.
I just completely made up how to say that, so we could be learning wrong. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Banana Keys. It's an imperial stout, and we heard a lot about that recently because they canned it. Their first time canning beers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Banana Keys was a popular one that was canned. Mm-hmm. And everybody was loving it. Coco Rico, a milkshake IPA.
Does it bring all the boys to the yard?
More than likely. So that's Salud. 3.98.
Ooh.
It's one of those Noda breweries too. Probably has a cult following of some sort. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Cabarrus.
Yes.
Founded in 2016 with a untapped score of 3.68.
Okay.
Solid. Mm-hmm. I think that fell into my solid cat. No, less than solid.
It'll be all right.
Yeah. But their top 3 players are Vanilla Coffee Blonde, It's a blonde.
Yeah, I was like, it sounds delicious until it was blonde.
Yeah. Kind of makes me think of I'm thinking of a blondie brownie. That kind of just popped in my head when I heard vanilla coffee blonde.
That's very on point.
Yeah.
I did not go there at all.
Rocky River IPA, which I'm sure we tried while we were there.
Okay.
English IPA. We can probably look up our score for it.
Oh, I would
if we had our phones.
Yes.
We'll just put a bloop what score we gave it right here.
Okay.
If we gave it one. Well, you know what? We'll do that for all of them.
Yeah.
If we've drank a beer from there, one of the top 3 players will pop it up on there.
Keep in mind, I'm growing. So some of my scores were like super inflated or super deflated, and I think I would feel differently now based on whenever I gave
I think
those
we went
scores.
like straight 4, 4.5, 3.5.
Although, I mean,
we didn't get too crazy with it.
We'll see how it goes.
And their third...
Just don't judge me, people. That's all I'm saying.
Top player numero tres.
Yes.
Is the Cabarrus Cotton Blonde Ale. It is a...
Hefeweizen?
It's a blonde ale. It's in the name.
Hefeweizen.
Nope, it's not it.
It's been a minute. I had to say it again.
So that's Salud and Cabarrus, 8 versus 9.
I think that's a hard matchup.
Yeah.
Now that you've drawn my attention to the fact that I've been to both of them, I'm like, oh, I did enjoy both of them.
I mean, Salud has the Noda horde behind them.
It's true.
The Noda community.
Yes.
Not
Noda
Brewing's horde, because they have their own horde.
Right.
These are different Noda hordes. Some Noda hordes from the Noda horde will go to the Noda Brewing horde, I'm sure, because it's still Noda.
Right. You picking Noda does not mean you can't pick Salud at this
in this horde
intersection.
Yes. Yeah.
You keep saying horde, and you say it so quickly. I'm like, people are going to start thinking you're calling them Noda whores, and that's not what it is.
It may not be wrong.
Oh dear God! And the backlash starts. Yeah. Oh goodness! And it was all him, people.
And Cabarrus has all of Concord.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I think Concord has Cabarrus and High Branch on our bracket, and that's about it. And funny story, Cabarrus and High Branch, same building. Like, they're in the same little area.
True.
So.
But see.
They may have the Concord horde.
It all really comes down to who activates their horde. Because we have reached out to all of these breweries. Yes. Because they also whoever is the winning brewery does get a trophy. They get the Golden Growler, and they get basically guaranteed $100 spent at their location so that we can give the $100 gift to our winning bracket.
Yeah, if they win, yeah.
Right. So they should be incentivized to get their patrons out filling out brackets and then voting for them, because it's in their benefit, it's in their patrons' benefit all around. So it really comes down to who can activate their horde better.
Yeah, it's the old who wants it more.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you.
I don't know if either of them wanted enough. Prove us wrong.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
Now we have the 5 versus 12.
Ooh, okay.
On your brackets, that's always a tough one, because 9 times out of 10, a 12 beats a 5.
Really?
If we're talking NCAA. Mm-hmm. It happens a lot. It's pretty common.
All right.
That's about where the line is drawn as toss-ups, 12-5. So the number 5 is Wooden Robot.
Okay.
12, Ass Clown.
Ooh, okay.
Wooden Robot, founded in 2015, has a untapped score of 3.89.
Wow.
Quite well. Their top 3 players: Good Morning Vietnam, a blonde ale, What He's Having IPA, an American IPA, and Overachiever, American Pale Ale. I'm going to go ahead and throw in an honorable mention on this one. Number 4 was What She's Having.
I see what they did there.
There's a What He's Having, What She's Having.
Okay.
Ass Clown, founded in 2011. Been around a while.
Yeah, that's longer than I thought.
Average score of 3.73, which,
considering they've been around that long, that's pretty high.
Around 8 years, that is a great score in my eyes. Their top 3 players are Orange Citrus IPA. It is a New England IPA. Dark Chocolate Sea Salt.
Oh boy.
It's a stout, but you threw caramel in there.
Ooh, that's your jam.
We in business. Imperial IPA, a New England IPA. So we will see this. I will mention this later, but very popular right now is New England IPA. So you put out some New England IPA, they're going to get scored high. That's how it's looking. And so that could be inflating their score a little bit.
Okay.
Or maybe people's come to the brewery, New England IPA, bam. You know, Plaza Midwood really loves their New England IPAs. But maybe that's helping them a little bit. But hey, when it comes bracket time,
anything goes.
You know, you bring the big guns.
Do you want it more?
You know, New England, you know, big time recruit at this point in time. So, did they play it smart? Maybe.
For me, that's a really hard matchup to call. I'm not gonna lie.
Both have solid names.
They have solid names.
They're the most unique names, probably.
They've got some good IPAs on their list. Each one. I hate to say this, and I wish they would prove me wrong, but Wooden Robot's not quite my favorite brewery as a whole. And I really don't dislike them in any way, shape, or form, but they would be more at my like 3.5, 3.6 rating.
Okay.
Where the others would maybe be somewhere in a 3.9-ish. Okay. Not all of the others, but just generally speaking in the breweries I've been to. But I can't speak for Ass Clown at all because I haven't been. I have definitely had their stuff, at the festivals. But again, blurred lines all day. Yeah. So I can't speak to that as well either. I think this is a really solid matchup to be in that 12-5 position because I think it's way too close to call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no clue. I think that's a perfect 12-5 placement.
Yes, that's going to be a good showdown.
Oof. This is going to be a hard one for me to call too. I mean, not really, I guess, but...
Yeah. So, 4 and 13. One of my favorite matches on this left side.
Yeah.
Unknown and Suffolk Punch.
I mean, that's a heavy hitter. Like, that's a heavy matchup
heavy
right
South
there.
End combo.
Yeah. It's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Now, I'll go before I start. If we were judging on food.
Yeah.
I mean, Unknown doesn't have their own food.
They have a pizza food truck.
Yeah, but it's not theirs.
You haven't tried it yet.
It's not theirs.
But they live there.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever.
I haven't tried it. But still.
Okay.
The Wagyu. I don't know how you say it. I don't know how to say that either.
There's this shaved beef sandwich that he's in love with.
Yeah, with some au jus dipping sauce.
And I like the place, and it's got its own in-house cafe, coffee house that makes some pretty bomb vanilla lattes. I think they make caramel lattes.
Sure.
It's hard to say because I know like at Lincoln's, they only make vanilla. Where caramel's my go-to, but I have to have vanilla there. I don't remember. I think Hyde only, Suffolk Punch, I think they only had, I don't know. Either way.
Yeah.
Coffee house, happy camper. But personally, the food there is a little pretentious to me. It's super, super fancy.
It's freaking delicious.
And I'm just a little too basic for it, is really what it is.
Yes, we'll go get
And
you
they
a
won't-
pumpkin spice latte next
No,
time.
I don't want that. Oh, no, please. But they won't even let me like substitute stuff. Like I tried to get a burger there and they wouldn't let me take stuff off and put other stuff.
I think they'll let you take stuff off. They just won't let you add stuff.
I didn't want to change it that much.
You change it, everything, everywhere we go.
That is a lie.
Anyways, Unknown. Founded
Food-wise, I'm not convinced. Go ahead.
Founded in 2013.
Okay.
Was Unknown. Their Untapped score, 3.66.
Ooh.
So.
Questions.
Yep.
Okay.
Top 3 players. Your beloved Over the Edge is their go-to guy.
Get it?
An American IPA. There's Pregame. An American Pale Ale that, you know, if your friends like the Studweiser, you bring them, have them try that, they'll love it. And Ginger Wheat, a pale wheat ale.
Hefeweizen?
The pale one, yeah, it's pale Hefeweizen. Suffolk Punch, founded 2017, their Untapped score of 3.69.
Ooh, that is a close matchup.
Yeah. Their top 3 guys, peoples, beers, players, is a Patchwork Orange, an American IPA, Hide in the Haze, a New England IPA, and the Suffolk Brunch,
Hey, I
which
see
is
what
a
they did
coffee
there.
stout.
Okay.
One thing to take into consideration is the name change.
Yes.
Is it equivalent to a coaching change mid-season?
Ooh.
Too soon to tell.
Yeah. That's a valid
You know.
point.
Hyde went from Hyde to just Suffolk Punch because it was Hyde Brewing at Suffolk Punch, and now it's just
Suffolk Punch. Yeah.
I liked Hyde. I don't know the story behind it, but they had the little
Yeah.
what's the little measuring test tube? That's part of the H. And
Yeah. I really liked that too.
Yeah.
That branding I liked
that was
a
just
lot.
cool. Still love Suffolk Punch. I like their beer.
I do like their beer. And that's why I said at first, like, oh, this is a hard one to call. And I was like, well, obviously my personal preference and just based on its OG status in my beer journey for myself puts Unknown on top. But I do like Suffolk Punch's beer. Again, food on my part leaves a little to be desired. But yeah, my personal choice would be for Unknown, but I could see this getting duked out pretty hard in the South End there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Who wants it more? Get them voting, people.
So now we got the 6 and 11. 6 would be what we're drinking right now. OldMecklenburg, OMB. The original brewery here in Charlotte. Founded in 2009 with an Untapped score of 3.62.
Ooh.
Their top 3 players, Copper, which is an Alt's beer. At's beer? I don't know. Altbier.
Alta beer?
Sure. I like Copper. I've been known to a lot of places that don't have a lot of craft beers will have OMB, and I'll probably get Copper. Number 2 would be a Captain James Jack Pilsner. It is a German Pilsner. And Mecktoberfest, which is a Marzen. Question mark.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Old Dallas is the 13 from Dallas, North Carolina. Not Dallas, Texas. Not to be confused.
You mean we didn't put a Dallas, Texas brewery on our...
No, they're not in the buzz bracket.
Dang.
It didn't make any sense. Founded in 2014, their Untapped score is a 3.59. They seem to, and maybe it's part of the name of Old Mecklenburg, Old Dallas. They kind of looks like they go the German route some as well. So this is a good matchup. Let's go. Let's take some of the German beers in the area and go head to head.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Yeah. Let's see who's the best. Like,
you never know who's going to survive round 1, so at least make it a good matchup to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were founded in 2014 with an Untapped score of 3.59.
Okay. Not great, but I mean, middle of the road time frame too.
Their top 3 players, Crossroads IPA. It's an American IPA. Wildcat, which is a wit beer. And
Hefeweizen?
No. Wit beer.
I'm just going to keep saying Hefeweizen.
Well, that's wrong.
You're wrong.
And then Old George's Porter.
Oh, okay.
And as you guessed it is a porter.
Well.
What you got there?
I mean, the easy answer is to say OMB will take that.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it depends on who activates their horde. But the easy answer is OMB is, classic, traditional, first brewery in the Charlotte area.
Yeah, some would probably say it's a travesty that they're a 6.
Some would. But quite frankly, there's a lot of people who think it's overrated. Like, I've seen a lot of talk about that. And maybe it's
just not their style.
And that's what I think is it's a traditional, kind of German beer garden type of place. And so if that's not your thing, you're over it quick. And I can relate to that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And that's something I was going to say is out of, I think, cultural, what's the word? Like, this is my team. This is, shoot.
I don't know. But they've proven themselves not only in Charlotte, but in the general region.
But yes, so out of cultural ties and locational ties is, I want to vote for OMB and probably would in this round.
Yeah.
But also is if it were going up against anyone else, probably it would be way easier for me to pick someone else over OMB. And I'm even hesitant now hearing their top players that Old Dallas has an IPA as their first top player. That makes me second guess my OMB ties because OMB doesn't have any IPAs, which was a bit of a travesty the first time I went there. But out of, just the kind of, they're here, they're in our hometown, they're closer than Old Dallas. Personally, I think I'd have to call it for OMB based on that, but also what I would expect out of the greater Charlotte area voting population. I imagine it would go to OMB.
Yeah.
Just historically. But again, whoever activates their hordes, man.
We'll find out. So 3 and 14 is our next matchup. And we got Resident Culture as the 3 seed, Bold Missy
14
as the 14 seed. So resident culture. Well, first, both of these were founded in 2017.
Ooh, I like that matchup.
Yeah. Resident culture has an untapped score of 4.02.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yep.
That's like off the charts. I mean, I realize it's not, but.
Yeah, so their top 3 players, Thunderstud. It is a New England double IPA.
Love me some dipper.
Whatever.
I just made a terrible life connection. See, my co-host and buddy Drew here is trying to kill his gums with this tobacco nonsense he puts in his lip. But for as much as I make fun of him for being all about the dip, I just realized that I'm all about the dipper. And I hate myself for making such a terrible...
That's one more letter than what I got, so...
I hate myself for making such terrible dad joke connections, but... Mind blown.
Anywho, whatever you feel, just dance it.
Hey.
A New England IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky Virago, an American IPA.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't go wrong when your top 3 players are IPAs, because, oof.
See, they're playing the trend.
I think that's primarily what they make, though.
And they may have started the trend. If not the kings of it. Like, if you like a New England IPA and you're new here and you ask somebody, they would tell you resident culture.
I mean, yeah, resident culture has the highest percentage of IPAs, hazies, all the things that I like.
I mean,
for sure.
West Coast IPAs. Like, it's West Coast and New England.
Yeah.
That's their two big dogs.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we were there opening day.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. It's good. 4.02.
I mean, okay.
Untapped has spoken.
But we also have Bold Missy, which founded in the same year.
Yes.
So what kind of score do they have?
Their untapped score, 3.65.
Ooh, that's actually pretty low for the pretty recent.
Well, their top 3 players are Find a Way Tangerine Wheat, a wit beer, Rocket Ride, an American IPA,
Okay.
and Solo Flight, a brown ale.
All right.
Now, one cool thing about Bold Missy, this may get them some votes from the ladies out there, but they are the only female-owned brewery in Charlotte.
And they have all women who are working in their brew house.
Well, they do have a guy. I'm pretty sure I saw it on their website. Yeah, there's at least one guy.
Okay.
But I think he was like, they said he was like the keg mover.
Are you saying women can't move their own kegs?
That I'm just putting what I thought I saw.
I appreciate how genuine that was from you though.
They have kind of like a what's the chick's name? Is it Rosie the Riveter?
Oh, yep.
They kind of have like that style art as their can art and stuff. I mean, kind of cool. Cool little style they got going on. They have glitter beer, pretty sure.
Not sure if that works for or against them in that female empowerment stuff, but
hey,
I like this matchup. I think it's pretty easy to call. One, personally, I feel like, I mean, I'm all about the IPAs all day.
Yeah.
And again, feel that bit of a personal connection to resident culture was still very early on in my beer liking journey that we went to their opening day. It was the first brewery opening day I've been to. It was just a really cool experience and a fun day. So I have those just like personal fondness of it. Bold Missy I have not been to personally. I have had several of their beers again in all the blurred lines of festivals, but I do really love the concept. I love the female empowerment of it. I like just having that, little niche of the world with it. But personally, I think I would have to give this one to Resident Culture. And I think as a Charlotte trend, that's kind of what I would expect to see.
Yeah, one thing you talk about leading up to brackets and March Madness is momentum. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like Resident Culture has momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I realize, they're still young, but with a 4.02, mm-hmm. And especially being matched up with exactly the same aged brewery, having a 4.02 versus a 3.6. Yeah, that's a huge difference for someone who's the same age. And I'm not sure when in 2017 Bold Missy came onto the scene, but having been at Resident Culture's opening, I can say that was in September. So we're still looking at end of 2017 that they even came on the scene. So barely, not even 2 years. Yeah, so it's been a year and a couple of months, year and a half. We're looking at a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And yeah. But that'll be fun to watch play out.
Okay, so now we have the 7-10 matchup.
Okay.
We're in toss-up category.
Yep.
Sugar Creek is the 7, High Branch 10 seed.
Okay.
Sugar Creek was founded in 2014 and has an untapped score of 3.68.
Okay.
Their top 3 players, the Sugar Creek Pale Ale. Mm-hmm. It's a Belgian Pale Ale. The Sugar Creek White Ale, which is a wit beer. And the Sugar Creek Raspberry White Ale, fruit beer.
Yeah.
So,
all right then.
I mean, if you can read the names that are on the bottle, you will know what it is.
Pretty much.
10 seed. Mm-hmm. High Branch. Maybe my call for the Cinderella. Now, if you don't know what the Cinderella is, it's a low seed that makes a long run in the tourney. Now, 10 may not be that low of a seed, but they have an untapped score of 4.09.
Holy crap.
The highest score on the left side of the bracket. Did I say they were founded in 2015?
I don't know.
So, they were founded in 2015. Been around a bit, and we're still sitting at a 4.09.
Wow.
Now, why I say this Cinderella thing, listen to the types of beers they have as I go through their top 3 players list. Pounder is a New England Pale Ale. McGill Avenue, a New England IPA. And Promise Ring, a New England IPA. So there's 3 guys, 3 top players are from New England. Of a New England style.
That good old Northeast.
And that's what, ride that wave. That's where we at right now.
4.09.
Yep. And all 3 top players are a New England style.
Wow.
So if we're going off a beer taste, and we could do a taste test with all of Charlotte, theoretically, High Branch would win this side of the bracket because of their tap score.
Wow. So yeah, in like blind taste test.
Yeah.
They'd win left side. Dang. Yeah, I mean, looking at that matchup, I'd have to say it's kind of one of those torn ones for me personally, again, is I have been to Sugar Creek. I have tasted some of their beers. I have not been to High Branch, but apparently, like, I've been in the building next door to it.
Yeah.
I assume at some point, again, I've tasted their beers in the blurred line shenanigans. However, I have been to Sugar Creek. Cool little place. Not really my style of beers. Just not my scene. Nothing wrong with them. Just not really my scene, not my style. High Branch. I really want to taste those beers. Definitely way more my style.
Yeah.
Untapped speaks volumes. That's nuts.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll find out next week if they're the highest overall.
Yeah.
Untapped score.
But so far, highest on the left side. And I mean, yeah, I can't really confirm the Cinderella part. I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give that a little more thought, but I definitely feel like they are the contender in this matchup.
Let's see. Okay, so next matchup, the last matchup of this episode, it is the 2 and the 15.
Ooh, okay.
2 seed Lenny Boy was founded in 2011, but did not start brewing beer, that is, until 2013. They brewed kombucha or kombucha. That's not how you say it.
You make a joke and then correct yourself in your own joke.
Yes,
Carry on.
it's a skill.
Yeah, it sure is.
So their average, or their untapped score, a 3.71. 3.71. Yeah.
Okay.
Their top 3 players are Citrophila. It's an American IPA. Burn Down Brown. A brown ale. You gotta burn it down.
Sounds rough. Okay.
And Tropicalis. A white IPA.
Okay.
The 15 seed is Cavendish, founded in 2017 with an untapped score of 3.61. Their top 3 players, Ave Maria, an American IPA. Foggy Mountain Cave In, a New England IPA.
Ooh.
And Chester Street Porter, a porter.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going with beer names alone, this is a tough one. You got Burn Down Brown and Foggy Mountain Cave In, head to head.
That's true.
I mean, that one-on-one matchup's going to be fun to watch.
That's true. Overall, I think personally, I haven't been to either of these. I've definitely tried both of these in Blurred Lineville. I think Lenny Boy is the kind of easy answer. A little bit older, a little more history there.
Yeah, kind of a cult following of its own.
Yeah, and that it comes more from, I think the cult following comes more from the kombucha side than anything, quite frankly. That gives it its own special niche in the brewery world where they have this kind of side thing that allows them to get into more of the public atmosphere than other breweries get. Cavendish still a little bit new. Not hearing much about it in this, like it's not getting in as many circles as Lenny Boy is in the brewery scene or in, these additional avenues they're able to get into. So I would have to give it to Lenny Boy overall in this one. But I am very interested to try some of these IPAs at Cavendish.
Yeah, Foggy Mountain Cave In. I mean, I feel like if you come by that, you have to drink it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll just draw you towards it.
Yes. It's like a cave in. You just falling right down into that glass.
You're going to cave in. Anyways, that's our matchups 1 through 16 on the left side.
Next week, we are going to preview 17 through 32. Doesn't really work that way, but 1 through 16 on the right side.
Yeah.
And give the next rundown. Next Thursday is when all the brackets need to be in. End of day Thursday. Anything that comes in past 11:59, it's not going to be in there. So it's free to enter. Takes 5 minutes. Just go in, make your picks, send in your bracket, and be in the running for $100 to the winning brewery. So get involved, get your friends involved, get the breweries involved, because if you can get them to help promote themselves, that means that they will also be getting people to vote for basically the picks you're putting on your bracket. So if you can get people in line with your thinking, get them voting for the same people you're voting for, that just betters your chance of winning overall and winning $100 to that brewery.
Like and subscribe either wherever you get your podcasts, where you're listening to this at now, or on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Van Gogh Creative for voting, which will open up next Friday on the 15th.
Yep.
Follow the Charlotte Reddit thread. There will also be voting up there.
Yeah.
And
just tell everybody you know.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do this.
The more people involved, the better it'll be.
Let's drink some burr.
Let's bring them all together for the sake of science, people. Science.
Okay. Or sports.
Whatever.
It can be like sports.
Whatever. All right. Well, I think we've rambled on long enough for all of you guys, but come back next week and see what we've got for the next half. We'll see y'all then.
Check you later.
Bye. It is time to preview the first 16 for the Charlotte Buzz. That's us. We're the Charlotte Buzz. For the Buzz bracket. I suck.
Okay.